Howdy! It is Wednesday. I buffer every time. It's a common occurrence here on the garden party. It wouldn't be a garden party unless I buffered right before the song. So I'm Texas Garden Guy, and this is the garden party. This is the garden party, and we want a garden party with you. We talk about the plants we grow, it's things you might not know. Garden party. Welcome to the garden party, everybody. Phil, introduce yourself.
What up, everybody? It's your favorite plant parent, regular parent, just living life juggling the two obligations and some other stuff in between. So I'm back on my favorite place to be on Wednesday nights here at the garden party.
I gave Phil extra time tonight. He usually has the entire walk to the guitar stand, and then that's why my headphones off to say all the mean stuff he wants to about me, and so I can hear him talking because he knows I don't go back and listen, so he can say all the things he wants to say.
Say all the things. Hi, I'm Destin, the Texas Garden Guy.
Happy to have you on, dude. And we're live on Facebook again too. I was thinking that
Look at us
being live. I was thinking that like just being live on YouTube would fix my buffering issue. It didn't. So we're back to Facebook and YouTube. So we're live everywhere. But we have our returning co-host, Miss the Queen of Austin, keeping it weird, gardening with Des. Welcome back, Des.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? Everybody got a lot of snow, and I got a dusting of it. Yeah. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well this evening. It's warm up here.
Yeah, the heat rises up in the frog, right?
It does in the front room over garage.
I'm so just. I have frog envy. I wish I had a frog. I guess I
just build one because I have one. I'm in my frog, and it's fantastic.
So
mine's colder though.
There's a space above my garage, but I think the height is like 18 inches. So I could build one technically. It would just be like me, like in a sleeping bag, like going live.
Oh my goodness.
Hey guys,
I would love
frog.
to see that actually. That would be a fun special episode of like if we could figure out how to get Destin in a sleeping bag in his greenhouse in the winter, it'd be like garden party from the greenhouse. It'd be funny.
Oh my gosh, we could all do overnights in our greenhouse.
I had quite a bit of snow and I did not go outside much. A lot of my pictures were from my wife because I hate the snow. We have a returning guest, the the New Jersey Tomato Queen. We got Resh Gala coming back. Welcome back, Resh. Happy to have you. Let everybody know a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Destin. I'm so excited to be back. And yes, for everybody who doesn't know me, my name is Resh Gala, and I am a garden designer from New Jersey. And I'm also the author of ta-da! Vegetable Gardening Made Easy.
Yes.
Might as well just give it a plug, which I know it's going to be gardening season soon. Yay, thank you. So please do, check out my book. And yes, we have had a ton of snow. I think we have about 8 inches outside. This morning, I was going to the gym and the temperature was, I think, 6 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind chill was probably 0 Fahrenheit. So bundled up upon bundled up. So yeah. And a couple of my passions, apart from gardening, is working out and Formula One, car racing. So.
Oh, nice.
Really? I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You have expensive hobbies, gardening and F1 racing.
My husband has many panic attacks every time I talk about, expanding the garden and talk about my garden dreams. He's like, oh my God.
He's like, at least it's not an F1 race car.
Yeah, we don't own an F1 race car. We just
no.
It.
Yes, for sure.
My dad, he has like a souped up race car that it's a Corvette, and he has brought it here. He brought it here this year and actually ran it on the Formula One track here in Austin.
Oh my
and
gosh.
he loves to do it. And so like he and a whole group of people like went in and they got like a garage, and so I got to go down there in the pit in the garage and see him off down there on the track. It was so cool. I actually like that.
That is so cool. Well, maybe one day if I'm at an F1 race, I'll probably see your dad and I'll say hi
to him. Actually, he doesn't like race Formula One, but he just likes to drive the track in his like expensive car that he's.
That's amazing.
That's so much fun. The only racing experience I have, they used to call them they call them kit cars or whatever, like the little bitty cars that like 14-year-olds drive. And it's the town I grew up. Like there's like 5 minutes from the town where I grew up. It's BYOB. You can sit in the back of your pickup truck with a case of beer, and you can watch the races. And they'll always be like souped up go-karts. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Like go-karts, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it looks
I've done that before.
Yes. Well, real quick, we got a first-time guest, Miss Sam Growing Grace. We got a North Carolinian in the house. Another Me and Des are outnumbered tonight. We got East Coasters on the right. So
what I'm talking about.
It's great to hear y'all's perspective tonight. So, Sam, go ahead and introduce yourself and let everybody know what you do.
Yeah, I'm Sam with Growing Grace Garden. I'm excited to be here. So I live in central North Carolina, like outside of Raleigh. I'm in zone 8A. And I am an organic garden educator. It's my passion, my refuge. I love to teach people online and in my local community how to grow their own gardens. I'm also a practicing herbalist. And so I incorporate that a lot. So yeah, I would say gardening is my biggest hobby. So, but I'm also a homeschool co-op teacher. So we do like a full-time co-op type of program. And it's Christian based, and I am a teacher for that. So I have students of all ages, and I love that too. But gardening is definitely my passion. So
that's really interesting, because I remember like some homeschoolers growing up, and like back in the day, we used to always think like the homeschool kids were like the weird kids, but like like they would come, like some of them will sometimes come play football like for the regular school, but then we found out some homeschools had like their own teams, like they go around and travel and do stuff, and I had no idea. It's like there's kids in your town that you didn't even know existed because they were homeschooled. It's strange, but it sounds like a cool deal.
Yeah, I mean it's so much freedom, but we're in like a co-op, like a full-time type of co-op, so it's like Monday through Friday. And it's funny because we say the same thing. Like I grew up in public school, and we always thought homeschoolers were like the weird ones. And now I'm like, oh, I totally get it now.
Yeah. We're the weird ones.
You could send me anywhere and I'd still be the weird one. So I'm cool with that.
I have met Phil, and he is
same.
The best people I've ever met are weird and weird in the best ways possible. So I appreciate that. No,
I can be weird enough, but be chameleon enough to like survive in society. And then when I can get home and just like demask, and I'll be like, all right, I can go in the
survival instincts.
He's so handsome. He can get people to talk about figs for hours. Like people don't even.
I had to figure that out. Later. This is the first of 3. Remember, we talked about this, and I just thought everybody liked to talk about figs, but I realized it was me just playing my part, I guess.
No, it's so cool to see how passionate certain people are about certain things. Like I, people like you and people like Tracy over at Just Dig It, who are super passionate about herbal stuff. Making
I have questions now, Sam.
Tinctures and all kinds of stuff. Real quick, before we get into like everybody's specialties and everything, I want to say, did anybody's garden survive the snow? Did anybody's garden, like anything in the garden, Resh?
To be determined.
Yeah.
Well, usually my garden tends to survive in the snow, but this year, because I just moved to a new home a couple of months ago, I'm embarrassed to say I don't have a garden yet. So yet is a key word, but I've been growing in winter outside in my raised beds for many, many years. I think I would say easily over 4 years that I've been installing hoops and farm grade plastic. And until December, I get really good harvests. Even, I've harvested carrots during Christmas. But when temperatures get as low as like single-digit Fahrenheit for an extended period of time, and by that I mean more than 3 or 4 days, then the plants definitely suffer. But there are some plants like kale and spinach and cilantro, which the foliage might die on top because you can't really eat it. However, the root systems, if you add some good compost and mulch around, the root systems can survive. And so even though the foliage might be dead through Jan and Feb, in March, as soon as the temperatures warm up, it's the first crop that you can harvest from your garden without really putting in any effort. So you've sown the seeds in fall, but you're harvesting in spring, which is absolutely, nature is amazing.
I know you grow a lot of kale, so I figured your kale was going to do. I noticed you're in a different background because there's more crown molding in this rectangle than there is in my entire house. And
I know. So we just moved into a new home a couple of months ago, and I'm just enjoying it so much. So thank you.
Woohoo!
It's cool to have like a fresh space, like a blank slate, and you can create everything fresh. You kind of know what you like, and if you're close by to where you were before, you can kind of pick up tips on like where you want your garden, where you made the mistakes last time. And I'm sure your garden was beautiful before, and your installations are beautiful. So I can't wait to see what you do at your new place.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
A fresh canvas. No gardener loves it more because we just love filling up the entire space.
Yes.
With everything we love.
You're saying a lot of puns these days.
Oh,
filling up the
please.
garden.
It's my dad life. It just fills up my whole repertoire of sayings.
Yes.
I'm full dad mode. I've been playing in the snow all day with my kiddos, intermittently checking work calls and things because I'm just like, but it's not going to happen. Like I just said, I'll be available if emergency happens. But like Wilmington has 5 snow plows in the entire county. So I don't think nothing was getting plowed today. I was able to shovel some of my stuff instinctually. Like I grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, in Amish country. And so I grew up with snow. I grew up going to like ski round top on the weekends, like in the Poconos. And I'm so used to like, oh, it snowed. Let's go shovel the driveway. Let's go sledding. Let's go do all this stuff. And so we've just been playing outside all day. But I have all these like double, triple, quadruple takes. Like, wait, my palm trees are still here. Like it's covered in snow. Like my fig trees and like azaleas. I'm like all this stuff. It's a very weird mental warp for me to see such a coastal town covered in snow like a winter wonderland. But as of right now, I did something really interesting, and I'm using the snow to my advantage. And I made this thing called I covered my greenhouse tarp over top, my extra greenhouse tarp over top of all my fig trees, over top of a low tunnel. And I called it my fig glue because I'm punning it up tonight, right? And and I let the snow cover it because snow has insulation properties, right? So like I let the snow cover everything. So it doesn't, because it got a little above freezing. Now it's going to get really cold tonight. Tonight's the colder night of this cold stretch, right? So we get down to the high teens, which is like our threshold here in Wilmington. And I'm going to let the snow do its part and protect all my potted figs outside under this little makeshift fig glue.
Yeah, yeah, the ice that they don't like as much, which we get a lot of.
Right. Well, they can survive, but the problem is they're in containers, and so they're
root systems
they're a little more vulnerable because the roots are exposed. I do have other things out there that I just let slide. I have 25 in-ground fig trees that I'm just like, yep, I'm letting them do their thing because I'm not worried about it. I get more worried about come March if their sap flow starts to occur and they start to wake up too early because our last freeze is usually April 1st. And they always like to wake up in March and just make me sweat for 3 weeks, So I'm not worried about them now, but I was certainly worried about the potted plants. And all my citrus is either in my garage next to my wife's Peloton or it is in the greenhouse.
So Phil, question for you. Do you wrap burlap around the outside of the containers to kind of insulate them a little bit?
I normally don't have to. I usually tell people when people ask about fig trees in containers, I usually say like 20 is the threshold, and that depends how long that 20-degree is going to last for. Like if it's one drop that goes down, but like they can handle freezes in containers. But if not, I definitely, you can do some burlap. Like there's a lot of really great videos out there, especially in New Jersey, like, and growing up in the Philadelphia area, New Jersey area, like, where there's like an Italian or a Greek family, because they're wrapping their fig tree in burlap, they're putting a tarp, they have the ceremonious bucket that goes on top, and they're generally heirloom varieties that are passed down in their family, which is really cool. But I don't have to do that here, fortunately. I get to rest easy a little bit for my winters now.
I usually leave my year-old propagations out, and then hope they come back, and then it kind of works out because I can tell people like, hey, this is a cold tolerant fig tree. This was out when it was 19 degrees outside.
Yeah.
With my fig trees, I don't bring any of them indoors because I want to give it to someone when they buy it. Say, hey, this will survive in a pot down to 19 degrees, and they almost always come back. They almost always come back. They may die back down to the base, but they always come back. It seems like 9 out of 10 times.
Some varieties are definitely hardier than others. Like I know if anything, all the LSUs generally are good because they're in that Celeste lineage, and Celeste do really well. Grande de Bordeaux do really well. Your Mount Etna fig, so Hardy Chicago, aptly named because it survived in Chicago weather. They can handle, especially that dieback all the way back down. But my fancy varieties that I have sought out, spent a lot of time propagating, your coldadams, don't like it as much. They like to be more substantial trees before tolerating the cold weather, like most fruit trees, right?
Yeah.
They like once they're more substantial, they become a little more resilient.
How about you? How about you, Sam? How'd your garden hold up?
Well, I didn't grow that much of I'm growing stuff, of course, but I wouldn't say I'm growing a fall garden this year. This year was a really big burnout year for me. Like I really overdid it, and I'm the only one that does it. And so I really, really overdid it. And then I just completely burned out. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to relax with the fall and get ready to go back.
Good for you.
And so I was giving myself some grace, but like my herbs, they always make it. Most of my herbs, I think that the longer they've been in the garden, of course, too, the more hardy they are. And the snow, well, it hasn't snowed here before today for 3 years, but we only got an inch, and it typically does pretty well in the snow because like Phil said, it gives you that like insulation. It insulates the plants. It's the ice that usually does things in.
Oh my gosh.
Usually I'm growing under like row covers and stuff. So my herbs will survive. They'll be fine. I
wasn't aware until I used to be the guy that would buy the seeds, and I had that little collector with the little vials, and I would just throw them in the little thing, and I wouldn't keep the seed packet or anything, and I would just start seeds whenever. But I started paying more attention to the seed packets and keeping the seed packets and like reading the instructions. And I didn't know until yesterday that lavender likes to be cold stratified.
Yeah.
I don't know how that skipped my mind. It said to you can either plant it in the fall and let it rest all winter and then come up in the spring, or you can put it in a wet paper towel in a Ziploc bag and let it not even in the freezer, in the fridge, chill for like 3 to 4 weeks, and then plant it, but barely cover it is what it said. And I was like, that makes so much sense now.
Yeah, that's why people love winter sowing. There's a lot of plants that are like that, but people love winter sowing them because you're just sticking it in the jugs and they kind of do their own natural cold stratification. And then, like springtime comes and they're ready to go. So, I mean, I love doing winter sowing for those those ones are kind of hard, to start. And so I really like winter sowing the lavender, but they do great here.
It's so interesting. I have never grown lavender from seed. I always grow it from cuttings. So that seems to just work brilliantly well. Like my other herbs may not be as hardy, but lavender grown from cuttings it just works. So I take like healthy cuttings, especially from the tip of the plant where it's like the tender green stem instead of the hard woody ones. I take the cuttings, strip it off the lower leaves, Sometimes I did some experiments where I dipped a few in rooting powder and some just, tucked it into the soil, and both did really well. So you just strip off the lower leaves, push it into a little pot with some soil and keep it indoors on a warm, sunny windowsill. And you'll have a lavender plant, which is amazing. And it goes into the garden in spring.
Rosemary is great to do that too.
Yep.
I mean, rosemary and lavender, they're very similar with that. And there's a couple other of the woody herbs, and they're great for propagating.
Yeah, so right now with the cold, that's all. I mean, with the cold weather, the snow, the no garden situation so far, so that's all I'm doing is propagating my herbs. And if I'm having like green onions or scallions, taking the cuttings, rooting them in water, and I'm like, yes, I'm a gardener still.
That's right. You could do ginger and turmeric right now too. You could get all that ready.
Oh yeah, you can. And Resh, I've seen you do that with your ginger and turmeric before.
You split it in half, right? You split it and divide
it up.
With ginger, I found it interesting. I think if you place your ginger, the root, if you have an organic ginger root, and make sure you choose one that has a lot of those white nubby spots when you buy it at the grocery store. And if you place it in your pantry along with onions, I'm telling you, it's going to start sprouting, which is just crazy. So same thing with potatoes. You want them to, if you want to create your own seed potato, put it in your pantry with the onions, and you'll have like your potatoes sprouting. Same with ginger. And so once it starts sprouting, then I just soak it in water for 24 hours, and then I bury it under soil, like in a seed starting mix. And once the green shoots come up, you have your ginger seedling, basically.
There it is. And is it just the off-gassing of the onion? Like, what does that off-gassing of the onion do that causes ethylene? That's what it is, the ethylene reaction.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Des, what has survived your garden, or what do you got going right now? I saw your greenhouse video.
Oh yeah, my greenhouse is doing just fine. I'm like barely watering that thing. I just go out and look at it occasionally. I'm like, oh, the citrus trees are fine. A lot of those like house plants, I'm moving up into my frog anyway. So they're not going to stay in there, which is good because I am about to start like tomatoes in the house. I noticed my oregano is fine out there. I have some fennel that's doing great. It does not care. It's in a semi-protected area, and I planted it last year, and it's still there. I've done nothing to it. I'd never water it. I don't know. I also have randomly, and I did take a picture of this, and I meant to post it this week, a purple eggplant that is still alive. Wow. Even after this snow we just had, it's still alive going out there. I don't water it. I don't look at it. I don't talk to it. I don't fertilize it. It's just in its own little perfect microclimate. Maybe it's a mutant like variety or something. I have no idea.
It's your unicorn. You got a unicorn out there.
Yes. But up until this frost, what's interesting is that I had elephant ears, and I had a root beer plant, and I had like a bunch of tropicals and some ferns planted up under my oak tree over here in the front yard, and they were looking amazing. And then the frost just kind of withered them. So I'm sure they'll come back, but mostly things are toasty out there. They just look frozen up. Yeah. It's not bad.
Is all your snow gone?
Also, yes, except for like there's like occasionally a patch in a very shady spot.
Got it.
It wasn't really a snow, it was more like a sneeze, you know. It was like
a
these
dusting.
little like, yeah, it was, and it was a little more than a dust. It was like weird because some of the snow was little balls of snow, like tiny little balls of frozen,
like sleep.
It was.
Oh, it was a crystal.
Almost, yeah. It was like it was not quite sleet. It was not quite snow. It was weird. I don't know. But they made a huge deal out of it here. And of course it was like nothing. And then it was gone. And I was like, I like you, Sam, I kind of like hit a critical burnout in the garden this year. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to chill. I need to chill for 10 minutes and just let things do what they're going to do.
I think that we are very much like, we're created like plants, and like just like they have their seasons where they just kind of hibernate and they work on everything underground that you don't see. I think that we have the same thing. I used to be like the kind of person where all over winter I was depressed and I was missing my garden and I was like planning everything, buying seeds, and I was going crazy by springtime. And now I've learned, like, this is my time to just relax and like work on myself and appreciate the rest, so that when springtime comes, I can be like ready. And so over the years, I've learned to embrace it more, and that like, oh yeah, we're supposed to have rest, just like the plants. We're supposed
Just
to
like the plants.
just like the plants.
Starting to sound like Garden Marcus.
I do my indoor hobbies like crocheting,
crochet, really
beadwork. I'm teaching myself to pin insects. That's a lot of fun. That I've even gathered from my yard. Which
wings do you have on today?
Oh, the Morpho butterfly ones. They're my favorite ones to wear. I love them so much.
So those are real butterfly wings.
Yeah, and if these are the top wings, just imagine how big that butterfly was.
Wow.
I love them. They're my favorite earrings.
And they have that Labrador essence too.
They do. They're just like so electric blue. They're my favorite. It's an amazing butterfly to see. And you know what, Destin, he has the opportunity to go and visit them at the Cockrell Butterfly Center in Houston. It's attached to the Museum of Natural History, which is really cool. Actually, Houston has like the coolest like museum area because they've got the zoo, they've got the museum, they've got the Cockrell Museum of, the Butterfly Museum. Anyway, they're hatching butterflies all day long, and they are beautiful, and you can see them in their chrysalis. You can see them partially emerged. You can see them pinned. You can see them flapping around. It's absolutely so awesome. I have a bunch of raw video I took from that, actually, that I've been meaning to make a better video for. So I'm working on it.
Des doesn't even live in Houston, and she's seen more of like the Natural History Museum and stuff like that than I have, because I don't live in Houston. I live close to Houston. Y'all know where my house is at. And so I rarely go in the city unless I am doing an event or something like that. It's usually hard to get me in there. Unless I'm getting a free dinner or something like that. It's hard for me to go.
You know what?
Houston. It's such a nightmare.
Fine. This year when we're down, we'll all go to the Natural History Museum because I'll help you out because I'm a geologist.
Oh my gosh, they have such a cool rock collection.
I believe it. And the dinosaurs.
The dinosaurs. I told you.
Let's do it.
But
Justin,
this year for me was about like this. The reason I didn't really have a fall garden too, or a winter garden, because I've seen a lot of people that have like beautiful tomatoes and stuff this year in my area because the weather has been so favorable for that. Is because I just had like, I got to go to like 3 conservatories. I like went to the one in Washington, D.C. I visited the Cockrell Butterfly Center, and then Destin took us on a tour of the Moody Gardens Rainforest Pyramid. And so like, I just got to go visit all these like beautiful, 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 beautiful tropical greenhouses. And I highly encourage you guys, if you have the winter sads, to please go and do this. Go to your nearest conservatory. If you have kids, please take them. It's like the most magical thing. I love it.
We're all just like adults that are still homeschool kids inside.
Yes.
Yeah. We're getting so excited and like,
give me 10 minutes to nerd out, and I will. Yeah. Speaking of crafts, also, I don't know if you see my carnivorous plant behind me, Sam. I know we just met and everything. That's Elvis. And I made him out of like one of those carvable pumpkins.
That is so cool.
So anyway, he's creepy back there, but he's also pretty cool.
I'm crafty too. I love crafting. That's why I really want to learn how to knit and how to crochet, but I'm ambidextrous. So watching YouTube videos is really hard for me because sometimes I have to like figure out what hand I can use. But
honestly, it just takes time anyway. Everybody's fumbling about when they're first learning. It's just like gardening.
Yeah.
Learn behavior. My favorite thing is when somebody says, sorry, Destin, when somebody says, oh, you have such a green thumb. I wish I had one too. And my favorite thing to say is, it is a learned behavior. It
Exactly.
is a learned skill. You're not just magically born with a green thumb. You know, some people may have better luck with growing things and may seem like they have just a natural green thumb, but every single one of us have had so much trial and error in the garden. And that's my favorite thing about gardening
Yeah,
is
For sure.
when somebody's like, "Oh, your thumb is so green." I'm like, "No, I just read a lot. I'm nerdy about it."
Nerdy, but like we all tend to be tactile learners as well, you know.
Oh.
So like when we're getting out there, we're getting our hands dirty. All of a sudden, our synapses start firing. I
Yeah.
can see that happening a lot.
Sam
Yeah.
has this beautiful video on her page of thinking warm thoughts about the garden that has low views on it on Instagram, in my opinion, for the quality of this gorgeous video, where she's just like, I'm thinking of like being with the flowers and, you know, all that. And it's just so pretty. If you guys have not checked out her Instagram channel, please go and do that. It's such a good video and it deserves more likes.
I want to see this video. Dustin, can we get that up there?
It's a really pretty video.
No worries.
I don't know if it'll let me play it on here, but I will drop a link to her Instagram right here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've been
Well, you're
dropping
welcome.
I've been dropping links. I've been dropping links as we go. I did
Like ain't no thing.
I did share reshgala.com as
Yeah.
well.
Rach,
Make sure
my
you
book
pick
is
her book up.
downstairs in my old spot, or else I would have been holding mine as well.
No
Mine,
worries.
I have mine too. It's on the nightstand.
Thank you.
I need to mail mine to you so you can sign it for me and send it back.
I'm gonna
Thank
do that.
you. Phil did that though.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah, I did it.
Or maybe at my first event of the year, I'll be in Enchanted Gardens in Richmond, Texas. I'll give away this book as like a raffle, and then you can just send me one with your
I will
autograph.
100% send you one. And listen,
Yes.
if you're in New Jersey, which I know most people don't want to come to Jersey, they want to go to New York. But if you're in Jersey, definitely, you have a friend here.
What part of Jersey are you in? Because my husband's family is all from New Jersey, so we go up there and visit.
Oh wow! So you should definitely let me know next time you're here. I'm in central New Jersey in Somerset County.
Okay.
So I don't know, if you're familiar with that. Yeah.
They're like
It's
South
not-
Jersey, like kind of near Philly, I guess. But yeah.
Are they like near like
Central Jersey? Jersey is not that big, but yeah. So that's where I am. And Des, you were talking about like being crafty, and so were you, Sam. So this past holiday season, because I didn't have my fall winter garden to tend to, I was just like, I was the opposite of you guys. I was like itching and raring to do something and to create something, because usually I'm busy tending to my garden and things like that. So this past holiday season, I actually did so many different crafts, including making this baby right here, vanilla extract.
Oh,
nice.
Which is amazing. So this is actually it's no jokes. It takes like almost a year to be ready. So I'm keeping it ready for 2025 holiday season. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's so cool.
All great things take time, right?
They all take time. So yeah, so I've been making all this pizza seasoning with my dried garden herbs, vanilla extract, my masala chai mix. I don't know if any of you have chai, but
I love chai.
Yeah, so all kinds of things.
My husband, like 2 weeks ago, I guess, just decided to make his own masala chai at home. And in the middle of the day, he's just been like, here you go. And we've been having chai like, oh, it's so good. It's the best.
Can he come do that here in Wilmington for me? I could really use that.
I keep telling him, I'm like, put more pepper. And he's like, it's already too, I'm put more.
It is so good. I mean, the chai mix, when I made it, I put in everything from like cinnamon, cloves, star anise, dried up ginger, nutmeg, even my dried basil flowers that I had, I put that in, and you grind it up into this really powerful, really fragrant concoction. And then when you make the chai with like milk and water and a little bit of sugar or honey, and you add this, it just, and obviously your tea leaves, it is just something else. It's an experience.
It sounds interesting.
My favorite.
Every time y'all mention these exotic flavors and stuff, I'm like, Ooh, I'm like salt, pepper, and garlic. That's like that's.
We are on a
I feel so
mission to
bad.
broaden Destin's palate. Like Phil and
You
I
guys
are
are
just
deepen your
trying.
palate. Destin's
Well,
gonna be great.
I'm
There's
finding
a whole new Chef's Table just came out. You got to watch that series of
Yeah.
noodles. It's great.
my idea of like cooking show, like my favorite cook is Maddie Matheson. Like that's the kind of stuff I like. It's like Chris Farley meets Bobby Flay. Like that's the kind of stuff I like.
You know what's my favorite? My favorite is the Great Baking, that British Baking Championship.
Oh my gosh,
my wife loves
the
that.
best.
It's so great. And you know what? Because you know what? They don't win anything except for like a high five afterwards, and they all help. They all help each other. It's like the best camaraderie / competition I've ever seen.
It is.
I cry so much watching it. It gets me every time. I'm always crying.
Mary Cherry and Paul Hollywood.
What is what is y'all's go? Like I posted a video last week. Me and my wife made it was broccoli soup, but we used the purple cauliflower, and it turned out broccoli and cheese soup purple, and it was so good. And I've been craving it ever since. But like, what is y'all's like go to like cold weather like party meal? We'll start with Sam. What like to do from like the garden and stuff like that. Like what is your go to like meal like that for the family?
I mean, okay, so I have my harvest pizza is my fall one. My winter one is probably like a homemade good chicken noodle soup. But my harvest pizza is like a staple in my house for fall. And I take the butternut squash. I grow a lot of butternut squash, or like all different varieties of winter squash. And then roast it with like sage and thyme and rosemary from the garden, some olive oil. And then you make it into like a sauce, like a pizza sauce. And then I'll do kale, caramelized onions, maple bacon, and like a sharp cheese, like a feta or something like that.
God, it sounds so good.
It is. It's amazing. So it's so
I'm
good.
scrolling on your Instagram looking for it right now.
I feel like I need a second dinner over here.
I did a
Yeah,
reel.
right?
I have a food highlight, and so my reel for my harvest pizza is in that one. So
oh my God,
it's amazing.
Y'all's Instagrams are so much more organized than mine.
No, yours is so great, Destin. Yours is so nice. It's so organic and authentic. I love it. It really is.
It's been described as content diarrhea. It's just
Who described it as that? Who said that?
Multiple people. It's just like get it out of there.
You can't listen to the negative stuff online. You gotta focus on the positive.
Keep crowding out the bad stuff with the good stuff.
I'm obviously not listening because some days I'll have 5 reels that go out. Some days I'll have 1. You know, it's like it's just. If it's cool, like that snow day, I had like 4 reels. I felt like I had my inner Des saving that baby bird. Like, oh my God. So I put like a whole thing of bird seed out like the day before, and they were out there just fighting over. Like I have like 5 feeders in my front yard. I feed them in the front, and they stay out of the back, out of my garden. And it's been really cool because I've been seeing more exotic birds. Yes. And so they were out here in the snow fighting over. There were so many birds that were fighting over the feed. And so, like, okay, I'm gonna grab a bunch of old coffee mugs I have in the garage. I'm gonna fill them up with seeds and put them out. And then we opened the window in my office right here, Phil. You remember you slept right in front of it. Yeah. We opened it up, and we never opened it up like that ever. And we watched the birds. Went and sat down, made some lunch, and all of a sudden we heard, and we're like, what was that? And I walked through this window. And I looked down, and it's just a little bird face down in the snow. I'm like, oh my God, it flew right into the window.
Oh, no.
So I went and grabbed the pet taxi, and I handed him a camera. I was like, Ashley, document this because I want Des to see this. So I go out there, and I picked this little bird up, and it's like, it must have been, I knew it was hurt because if not, it wouldn't let me pick it up, you know? And so like, he was stunned, or she was, I think it was a she, was stunned. I picked her up. And I was going to take her and put her in the pet taxi, put her in the garage overnight, then re-release her. But I took one step and she flew out of my hands. I was like, okay, she'll make it. She'll make it. I was very happy, but it's always cool. Like I never held one of those birds, like those little, I call them my little Chi-Chi birds. They're the little English sparrows that mess up my.
Oh,
They
those tiny little guys.
They steal the metal from my screen, the mesh from my screen, my windows. Yes. Oh my God! But yeah, the fat little doves, they were out sitting there. I always put food on the ground for them because they're too fat for the feeders. So like, they're very well fed, and that is why you saw that Cooper's hawk hanging out in my front yard the other day because I was surprised I didn't see him because they was a wide open. He could have grabbed any one of them he wanted. But sorry. I went off on a tangent. Phil, your go-to Italiano cold weather. I know you made some pesto or something this week.
No, you know what? My dad always made like a pasta fagioli, like bean soup. And my neighbor actually made some. We all hung out today. All the kids were sledding, and someone was making a loaded potato soup. Someone was making like a pasta fagioli or a minestrone. And then I actually last week I made pistole, a Mexican soup with the hominy, and I was talking about it last episode, and I still had that left, and I went and I heated that up. And my wife's really into making sourdough, so I had crusty bread ready to go with it, and that was my lunch today. And then I did make pesto for dinner for my kids again because it's easy for me to sneak vegetables like greens and mushrooms. I snuck all into the pesto. I had white beans in there. My kids ate it all because they just saw it as pesto pasta. And
that's a great idea.
It's a good feeling food. We just have pesto twice a week in our house, and then I sneak all the stuff into it.
I'm currently trying to talk my wife into learning how to do sourdough because I don't have the time. I've already got too much going on. So we're sitting on the couch yesterday. I didn't have to work yesterday. So we're sitting on the couch, and I was like, I saw one of my buddies makes like, French bread or sourdough bread or whatever. And I looked at my wife and I go, it'd be a cool hobby for you this summer when you're out of school. I was like, you should get into bread making.
It's another like tactile enjoyment thing, right? And sourdough is important, like anything that we talked about earlier, that good things take time, and getting the starter going. And like sourdough breaks down the wheat germ really well, and it makes it better and more digestible for you. And there's research now, it's getting officially documented in research that, or bringing back to light, that it's actually way healthier for you, and you get that nice dose of lactobacillus. So my wife's really been enjoying it. She got it started from her sister and her mom, who have been using the starter. That I forget where her sister got it, but and her sister's making her own starter now, just like airing it out and feeding that from what's around fantastic. Her. Yeah.
Isn't there a type of wheat that's healthier for you too? I forget what it's called.
A lot of wheats that are probably healthier for you.
Rye, I think. Rye bread is also supposed to be pretty healthy.
Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Rye. And then as a kid, we ate a lot of spelt. And in German, it's called dinkel, but it's more of an heirloom ancient grain. And yeah, it's a really funny. Of course, the Germans called it dinkel, but like spelt grain, and it's a type of wheat. And then you have like obviously like semolina, which is still like closer to durum wheat that we all use, but it's less modified. But yeah.
And Dustin, you could if
einkorn is what I'm thinking of.
So then, like I do sourdough, but I don't do the one on the counter that you have to like feed and discard every day. I do one in the fridge. I think I have a reel of that. But I do one. I call it a dry starter. And then you just, whenever you want to use it, you have one extra step, but you can just keep it in the fridge for weeks if you wanted to. And so that's good for like a busy life.
Now, Sam, does it go dormant?
Called? You have a name for your sourdough starter?
I
think that everybody does, I think.
I haven't come up with a name for mine yet. But yeah, no, it doesn't. I wouldn't say it goes dormant, but like you have one extra step is like making the leaven. It's like a really quick extra step.
That's what my wife does. She makes the leaven and then
in the fridge.
Yes. So she's doing it your way. Okay. Yeah.
I think it's the best way to do it. My daughter's making it now. Like she'll text me all these pictures of like the bagels she made this week and
fun.
Yeah. It's
my daughter has same thing with my daughter as well. She's been so inspired by Paul Hollywood and this whole British Baking Championship that she got all of their, books, and she makes her own sourdough bread, and not just sourdough, but also, her starter, she's named it. I believe it's a thing to name your starter, apparently.
Yeah.
So hers is called Pierre Gasly, for the gas, but he's also a race car Formula One driver.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
I love
anyway,
that.
That's
so
awesome.
she makes her sourdough starters and the bread. And
He's a very
now,
handsome man.
what's that?
He's a very handsome
Paul
man.
Hollywood?
He
Oh,
is.
Paul Hollywood.
Yeah, he's got those blazing blue eyes that scare
If
the
you ever
crap
watch,
out of you,
if you
though.
ever watch Great British Baking Show, you have to drink every time he says stodgy. I think would be a good goal.
He's and, if you squint a little bit, he's like a better looking version, like put together, of Guy Fieri. You know what I mean? Like he looks like Guy Fieri
He
without a
would be
goatee.
so offended, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
I
If
hate
you
to
put-
say it, Paul would be so offended.
If you put spikes and some sunglasses on this guy, he would look just like Guy Fieri.
If
I
you
don't know- I
squinted
don't know what-
really hard, as
You
hard
would
as you
have
could
to-
squint,
I feel like George Clooney, maybe.
yeah.
my
Squint,
God.
if you can squint harder than that, if you squint really hard, you can be just about anybody.
No, the wheat I was talking about early, and I saw this on Soda Land because they're in Asheville, North Carolina,
Mhm.
and they do one of those. It's that monthly box you buy. It's like you buy a bunch of stuff in bulk, but they buy like the
Azure?
einkorn. Yes, yeah, that one. It's the einkorn wheat. Apparently, it's like an
Yes.
ancient wheat or something. and it's-
Einkorn. Yeah, you can use
It's-
einkorn.
It's better for you or something like that. It's like unbleached or whatever or something like that.
And it's higher quality too.
Okay.
So.
Because it's more
There
of
you
like
go.
the processing that makes
Mhm.
like it bad for us, right? Like because like the stuff that they make pasta with in like Italy is not the same kind of wheat like we're using here. Like
No.
it's not.
No, and it's also highly sprayed here. Like they spray
yeah.
Roundup on the wheat to dry it out quicker. So like when you're eating normal, if you go to the store and buy like a loaf of bread, not only is it going to have a ton of different ingredients that you don't need in it, but it's all of those things are like low quality, highly sprayed. I mean, it's just
Oh.
that's a big difference between here and like Italy or the UK.
So
Is wheat-
it's really interesting. I grew up in India, and there, because it's near the equator, it's a tropical climate and it's an agricultural country basically. And so we used to get. I know growing up, we never bought bags of wheat flour. We instead used to get our own wheat grains, from the farmers. And I know mom used to take it every so many months to the mill, get it, they pass it through the mill. You're standing right there and it comes out as flour. You bring it home. You have this warm flour that you bring home. And before she takes the wheat to the mill to have it, turned into flour, I know that we have, some of the household help sitting, all afternoon, sifting through the wheat, taking out, whatever's the bad stuff before taking it to the mill, coming home in the car with like these containers and containers of this warm, fresh flour. And when mom would make tortillas, our Indian roti or the naan bread.
I love roti.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we make it
Oh,
out of
man.
wheat, and mom would add like a little bit of say protein powder and things like that because we're vegetarian. Add like a scoop of that, mix it in to make the dough because it's unflavored protein mixed with or like soybeans as well that she would grind up, and it's like fresh. So be it that, just for a little bit of extra protein, and then make tortillas for us growing up. So we grew up with a very different taste of bread. And talking about Italy and everything, when we went on holiday, I ate so much pasta and so much bread, but I didn't gain any weight. And you don't feel like heavy and bloated. Or
No, you
acidic.
metabolize
like
it
sometimes when you
better.
eat, yeah. I think it's just all the chemicals and preservatives as well that they might be putting in. So one of the things is like my daughter, she does sourdough bread, but I've asked her now on the weekends if she has the time to make fresh bread at home, like, white or wheat or whatever she likes, but to make it fresh at home. So, it doesn't have those chemicals and preservatives and other additives that we don't really need. And we can just have something fresh. It would be amazing. But yeah, it's
Oh,
the
yeah.
time,
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to, spend
I
time.
mean, I'm a pretty big pasta snob, and so if we get all our pasta imported, the colors are literally different. Like you have your yellow pasta
Yeah.
people used to seeing, and then you have like the imported like stuff that's like very much a lighter faded tan. You're like, oh, and then you eat, you're like, oh, and you're like, Oh, and then you wake like
Yeah.
everything just goes way more smoothly. You get those experiences that you're talking about, Resh. So
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah.
You know,
It's so different. We have such a broken food system here.
oh yeah, 100%. Well, and I think that's where like the garden revolution has kind of come from. You know, from 2018, 2019. Some people, I looked it up. It was. So I was looking up some stupid fact for a little video I was putting together, and it's like 55 million people in the United States garden. Like that's a lot. That's a pretty substantial number, and I'm sure it's grown quite a bit just since the pandemic and stuff. I'm sure it's gotten a lot crazy. I was just looking it up and seeing if you could buy Einhorn wheat seeds, and you absolutely can buy it. And it takes about 100 to 140 days. I wonder if I should do an experiment where I try to grow my own wheat for bread. That would be kind of cool, I think.
That'd be really fun. Would your dad be down? Would your dad be down, Destin, on his property?
Probably not. His cows will probably eat it.
Just go stick it in at Tyler's place. Just he'll never notice.
He'll never know.
He'll never know. How would he know?
I'd have to ask him. I'd find out. He drove up north. So one year Tyler did do wheat. He grew wheat and sold flour. Because I remember he drove to like Nebraska and went and picked up like Johnny Red Wheat or something like that, or Johnny Turkey Red Wheat or whatever. And he brought the seed back and grew it, and they ground it up and sold it on his website. So
that's cool.
Can't be too hard if Tyler did it. I mean, I've got
that where you can go and like to the mill and get your own, bring your wheat berries and get it.
Right.
This whole conversation reminds me of homebrewing beer back when I did it about 12 years ago. And there's a homebrew store, and you went in and they had just bags of barley, they had bags of wheat, and they had a mill right there. And so you measured out what you were going to brew, and then you were pitching yeast, and they had yeast strains. And there's like White Labs and Y Labs who have yeast strains from all over the world. So like you have these heirloom, Brettanomyces from Belgium, all the Belgium, you have the Trappist ale yeast, you have the classic Sierra Nevada yeast, you have your any kind of yeast they send to clone and they could reproduce. And you make a starter with that as well. And then you pitch it into your beer, and then that gets digested. And you actually end up with a yeast cake at the bottom that you can actually salvage and repitch later, like you would sourdough. And then milling the grains, and like a lot of that's similar. Now you end up creating this adult beverage that
that
does
is
have
so
alcohol.
cool, that is so cool. And I think that's and that's one of the things, though. I think we have become a little bit further removed from the source of our food, which is really, what now people, I feel the trend is more towards gardening, because people are seeking that connection, and not just, connection in terms of social media, making us creating distance between people, because everybody is just on social media, but not really in person. And I think the distance is there between us and our source of food. But if we could bring that closer, people are, craving that connection, I think, as well.
Yeah. And everything became about convenience. And that's when all the corners, they started. It just,
that's a good point.
That's when all of it went downhill. We need to bring back the corner store with their own little mills and all that good stuff.
Well, we'll get some root beer from Phil, right?
Yes, that's right.
I think I still have some equipment out back, but I am literally like, I've dwindled all my hobbies down to like, I've got my gardening, I've got my, my interests in what I do for work in geology, and I got my dad's stuff, and I got surfing because I live here at the beach. And so now, work out. Yeah, and I try to work out when I can.
I don't know where he finds the time.
His life is a gym.
I don't have time.
Literally, he was surfing on the snow. This man sent us a video of him surfing on the snow today.
You handsome devil.
I know.
It was my daughter's surfboard on the soft top there. I'll send you a video of her doing it herself. And
oh my gosh.
But and then I've been trying to do the cold plunges too. And so like but I'll do it in the ocean because the ocean's like 50. So I'll just run to the ocean before work, and I'll jump in, and then I'll drive to my office or something. But
I so badly want to be a cold plunge person. I just can't. But I want to be that person.
Not
In
gonna
summer, I
happen.
only take cold showers, but I do recognize that is Texas cold tap water, not northern cold tap water, whereby like it's just lukewarm tap water here. So
I think
But
it's all about
I've
mind over
never-
matter with the cold
Yeah.
plunge. And
it's
all
really
that
mind
stuff.
over matter. It's like
It
practicing your
really is.
breathing. It's all breathing, and you're like, and it gets better and better the more you practice it. And yeah, I weenie out sometimes where I'm like, today I'm not doing that. I'm just not feeling it, and I lean into that. You know, I'm like, all right, we'll get back on that horse another day. But
But I was listening to some podcast. It was probably a month or two ago. But they were talking about doing like this cold plunge and those sort of things, or waking up really early in the morning, or working out really, really hard. And I think the whole philosophy is to make yourself believe that you can do hard things, and to
Yeah.
train your mind to believe that you can do hard things. And when you can do something like, even if it's a cold plunge that you're like dreading and you're like, I don't think I can do that, but you do it, then you feel you can do anything. And I think it's those small wins really that build up and add, and create big wins for us.
oh,
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
definitely. Since we're doing a winter episode, we'll say this. They definitely snowball over time. Like even if it's like little pieces along, and I would say that with gardening too. And like Sam, you're not alone. Like I had my own burnout this fall when figs stopped. I didn't want to do dilly squat, and I actually, my therapist said this. She's like, sometimes if you hit a wall, that's just the universe giving you something to lean on, right? And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna lean on that. And
I like that.
wise words. Isn't that cool? And then the new year hit, and I was like, I am effing ready. And I went out, and then I finally like we make time. We don't find time, right? And we made the time to like get up before the sun's up and get some fig cuttings going, just get something, just to get that little bit of steam rolling and snowballing effect for this spring, because we know it'll only benefit us going forward.
Exactly.
But like I had to definitely like I took some time off too, Sam. You're not alone in that, and it definitely paid itself off. Where when I hit a great window, and I don't know if any gardeners out there, because the fall is a really tough time. We're like getting our freezes. Nobody wants to do anything. Like, yeah, we have our kales, but they're still available. They've slowed down in growth, I feel like, a lot. And and then when I'm just like going, I just want to go putter. I just want to go clean out my beds. I want to pull out whatever dead weeds are there, just pull them out or dice them up and do that for fun. And when I felt like I was doing it for fun again, it was all of a sudden, it was like that stimulus, and it just hit that beautiful chord in your heart. And you're like, oh, we're back. Let's do this. And then, yeah. So I just want to share that.
A little bit to kind of just get you there.
And yeah, and then it just like is self-generating, and then you get that spark and it keeps going. But the cold shower might help with that. I'm not gonna lie. Cold shower in the winter might help.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
for
work
a lot of us, good. I think for a lot of us, the burnout is not just one thing is the garden, but then we're also on social media, on Instagram, because of our work and our business and all that stuff. So that all adds up to constantly, having to post and create content, etc. So it's very interesting. Oh, my friend Keegan, is that
Keegan's here?
Yeah. I forgot that I can show the comments. We got Enoch. Enoch. We got Enoch in here.
Hello.
Hey, Enoch.
Smart Pots is here. India is the world producer of cocoa coir. I did not know that.
That's true.
Wow.
That is actually true.
Amazing.
That's what I used. I just dropped a video yesterday on rooting figs. And my go-to, perlite and cocoa coir. Mix those together, root a fig.
I love using cocoa coir. It's like also my favorite. I love that you can buy the compressed bricks, and you can buy a big giant pack of the compressed bricks, and it's like $40 or less. It's perfect.
Watch it grow.
Yeah, whenever you need it, you can just throw some warm water in there. Warm water hydrates it faster, and get growing without having to decimate a peat bog. It's pretty cool.
It's awesome. I love it.
But also, I was going to say back to Resh's point about like being burned out as a content creator and a gardener, and sometimes getting so messed up in there where you're like, I should film this, or I should be present online. You sometimes kind of like put yourself to the side and forget to exist in the moment in your own garden. And with my health, I, found out that I had like a thyroid thing going on. Just realized that I only had like a certain amount of energy that I could spend. And I was really kind of beating myself up about it too, because I was like, I should be doing all the things that I'm used to doing, but I just like I literally actually couldn't do them. So I stopped filming for a while. I just kind of disappeared for a while. And then I was just out there doing the garden, when I had time and as I felt able, and I reconnected it with it in that way too. And reminded myself, oh, just because nobody's looking at this on the internet does not mean
It's for
that
you.
I'm not looking. It's
Yeah.
for me.
That's right.
And I even showed up online and I said, listen, guys, I am still here, but I'm being a little bit selfish right now and I'm keeping my garden to myself at the moment. I will be back, but right now I need to retreat. Like, I'm fine, don't worry, but love you. I'm going to be out here with the butterflies.
Absolutely. I think it's really important for content creators, especially like the gardeners, because we have this season that we have to get so much done, especially like in the fall, because I'm preserving tons of stuff. I'm trying to like harvest everything. And we have to make sure that we still find the joy in it, because there's been a lot of times where you're like almost like checking it off. You have to do all this stuff all at once. And so you can kind of lose that joy in it. So I always make sure that several times a week, like I make sure to leave my phone and camera and stuff like inside, and I go out to the garden and just have like that time to connect, where it's like, it's private time. I'm not out here to film this or to, like I'm just out there to connect with the garden. And I think that's been really big for me, at least, because I find that I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go make a reel, or I need to go show this.
Oh yeah.
It's important to
Yeah.
Sometimes the piggyback on top of Sam, it's like it takes me 10-15 minutes of just observing my garden. Like I'm just like going around like under leaves, like feeling the branches. I'm like, what's going on today out here? What have I missed?
Yeah.
What's going on in the greenhouse? Oops, definitely forgot to water you. You are still wet. Like, oh, is that a bud? Is that a fruit? Is that happening? No, what's going on? And like doing all that, and I was like, oh yeah, what do I want to talk about today? Do I want to talk about anything? And like being okay with not sharing it, but like that's my space. So when people don't see what's going on in the camera, they see my big garden. It's because Phil's probably out there. I'm probably holding one of my kids, to be honest, and we're just like walking around looking at stuff. Yeah, I hear
love
that.
it.
So
I also love, like when you said Des, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead. Go.
That one reel, those, and selfishly, those reels are usually for me, because I will make like informational reels and educational reels and like things that are like trendy or whatever. But a lot of times I will just put something beautiful together that is just like my heart in the garden. And I'm like, it's not going to do well. Like I posted a reel of like my chocolate wouldn't melt when I was baking cookies, and it got 4 million views. And
I saw
then
that.
I post like a beautiful garden one, and it's like 700. But those are usually the ones that I do just for myself, because I'm like, I just want to remember the beauty of it. So when it gets really hard and the work is coming, it's just like, this is why I do it. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
But also, like, of all your reels that I just scanned through, though, when I was scrolling your page, that one is the one that spoke to my soul in the garden. And so, like, even if that's something that you're doing just for you and you're like, oh, I might not get that many views, like, you don't know who that's impacting that day.
yeah.
You don't know who that might inspire to, like, put a seed in the ground. And so I think it's really cool that you did share that, and that we remember that the trends aren't really like the thing people follow us for. Like, it's really actually just us, our presence, our being, our like sharing, like hands in the earth, feet on the ground, sun on our shoulders in our garden, enjoying it and showing other people like how they can imagine themselves in that space.
Oh yeah. Well, and I struggle with my mental health. I have since I was a child, with severe depression and anxiety. So those kind of things really help me. And so I'm like, if it's for me, I'm posting it for me. but I'm sure there's someone that they could that'll pop up for them, and that could be their connection to the garden, or that could be their connection to God, or connection, that could help them in some way.
Even if it's one person.
Yes.
Even if it's one person you got to share that piece with.
Exchanging.
Yeah.
I got the chills right now. I literally do. If you could see them, I do.
I always tell people, like, my goal is I make one person smile. Make one person smile. That's a good day. And
yes,
your reels should be authentic. And if you're having a bad day, post that you're having a bad day. Share that with everybody. And for people to get burnt out, like nobody. I don't think anybody posts as much content as I do. Probably I post a lot. And I will get burnt out, and that's what going back in time is good for. Because if there's days where it's nasty outside and I don't feel like going outside doing anything in the garden, I go and, hey, what did I post a year ago? Mm-hmm. And you know what? That video that just hit 2 million views on Facebook, hit 2 million on Instagram, was a throwaway video that I never posted of my neighbor's freeze visor. That was I never even posted that video. And I posted it and it hit 2 million on Facebook, 2 million on Instagram. And it's just, so if you ever are getting, wore out, think about something topical, scroll through, don't delete videos, pay for $10 a month for the Apple iCloud or whatever. So it saves like 2 terabytes of storage, and don't delete anything, because I will go back and I've been calling them micro reels. I've been experimenting with micro reels lately, where I'll take a 10-second clip of a video and throw some captions on there. And that may be something like that just brightens someone's day, or a little fun fact, and that's just something you can take away. And like, I've even used clips from live streams and reuse those as a 10-second, 20-second clip, put some captions on there. Like, that's a perfect thing you can do without having to actually get up and spend 30 minutes to an hour making a video. I always recommend like posting something else, whether it's a picture or a video, post something every day to keep it fresh,
Yeah, I recommend my content all the time. Well, and as gardeners, we can do that, because when that time of the year comes around, when seed starting time comes around, if you don't have a whole lot of time to go record and create, you can just go back a year or two from before and take that. I mean, I do that all the time.
Oh, I'm doing that. It's so hard, guys.
I need to spend more time going in that world, because you know what? I just thought of this, and it's gonna play into what I want to ask Resh, because you have a fresh slate of gardening space. But like, and this happened when I was with Destin. But like, gardens are an extension of ourselves, right? Especially as gardeners. Like, they represent a lot of us. How we've grown into the garden, how the space has developed, whatever space it is, how it's changed through time. And every gardener I have ever met is like, come into my garden and we will proceed to walk through every plant, every space, everything. Yeah. And it's ubiquitous. It doesn't matter your personality.
Braggadocious gardeners.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, and then this plant. And we're like, and this plant, and then this plant. And Destin, we showed everything. Like, this one smells like burnt popcorn, and this one smells like flowers. And this one, we're like, it was the middle of the night. I landed at Destin's house. We were out there at 10:30 at night with our iPhone flashlights just doing this. And it was the best thing ever. And so just for anyone else out there, we met digitally. This was all digital interaction. When you meet in person, you can start right where you left off. And it's really awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
And when you go to someone's garden, and even like my friends here in Wilmington, they're like, come look at this. And look what's sprouting up over here. A squashy just came up. You're like, oh my gosh, that's great. And so it really ties in that sharing space. And Resh, I am really excited for what you're going to do to your space in the spring. And no rush whatsoever. If you decide to wait, do your thing. But I'm excited for whatever journey you go on there.
I am telling you, I am so busy right now because I am dreaming and planning for my new garden. And you know, the big challenges, I used to live in a really small home before with a really, really small backyard. No jokes. I had only 84 square feet of growing space.
Oh my gosh.
So you see this cover of my
what you
book,
can do.
you see all the kale and the veggies. this is in that small little backyard, the crazy harvest that I get from just 84 square feet of space. And so now I have so much space that suddenly I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed and scared almost. And I'm not sure, what to do with all that space, because I know part of it has to be for my garden, but I, of course, need to keep some of it, not some of it, a lot of it for my kids as well, to play football or whatever else they want. So figuring out what to do with a large space is harder than figuring out what to do with a smaller space. Because with a small space, you have the constructs of a boundary, and that's what you got to work with. With a large space, suddenly you're like, okay, you have to, because you have to, every garden, I think a garden is like a house or a room. You have to have a structure or a boundary and define that space and create something within it, It could be like your compost area, your seed starting or greenhouse area, your raised beds, maybe a berry patch. So, you have to plan things out. So that's what I'm thinking on dreaming of right now.
If I can tip on that, because I experienced that at my last house. I had a small little space and I did a lot of container gardening. And I did that for years. And then when we moved, my garden is almost 2,000 square feet now, because when we moved, I had this.
It's bigger than my house.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We had this huge slate, and but what I did was I started with one like center point. And then every season I came up with a different way I want it. And I just kind of added on to it, and it just morphed into this huge thing. So I would say, like, I know it's overwhelming. Start with like your center point.
Yep.
And then just as you feel you need to, work out from there, because that was for me. And I was able to grow the garden in so many different ways for me, and to show other people, to help other people. But I would say start with your center focal point and then work out.
Yep. So
hold on. I was gonna say something real quick. So I was gonna make a point and say the exact opposite of what you were saying, Sam. So
really?
I live in a small backyard filled, as you've seen it. I started just like how you would color a picture in a coloring book. You do the edges first, and then you fill in. That's what I kind of did, because I ran all my irrigation against my fence line and popped in. So I have everything in containers and see what did what first, before I put stuff in the ground, But I kind of worked. But if you have a bigger space, it might be helpful to start in the middle.
But this is what I'm saying. This goes back to like what comes out of your mindset and the concept of gardening. And so it goes all the way back to like how you want to develop and grow it. It's still authentically you. And so like when you look at a space or a canvas, right? And so just hearing that, I'm like, oh man, we're getting into it. Like people,
I'm so excited because like you were saying, Sam, definitely I want to have, I'm right now talking to a few companies because I want to have a greenhouse as the focal point of the garden, and then, design everything around it. Yeah. However, being in New Jersey, the biggest issue for us is deer. And so, like, Destin said, I have to define a boundary or a fence or some sort of, a structure. Yeah. And that's going to that's going to create that limitation for me. So I can't go too big because my husband's going to have a panic attack. But I have to have some sort of a fence. But within that structure, I want to have definitely a focal point. And then I do a lot of raised bed gardens, and I've done it for my clients as well. So I think I get a lot of great ideas when I'm in my shower. That's what I tell myself. I don't know. It's one of those places where
me too.
Oh yeah, ideas strike me.
I wish I could write a blog while I'm in the shower because I have so many shower thoughts.
That's where I came.
I can't remember when I get out because I've washed the thoughts away.
That's where I came up with a theme song.
So when we just moved into the house, I had this vision for what I wanted my garden to be, and the greenhouse, the raised beds, the whole vision came to me in my shower. And so once I was done, the first thing I did was drew it out on a piece of paper, and I took a photo of it because I was like, if I lose that paper, I have it on my phone. So I'm trying to see how I can make that a reality without scaring my family.
Sometimes the best ideas are like on napkins, that you just
That's
are like, I've got to remember this. And you're like stopping wet, jumping out of the shower, and you're like scribble it on something.
Grass paper somewhere.
Yeah.
And you honeymoon phase of the garden. I love the honeymoon phase of the garden. Like when you create, when you first set your garden up, and it's like the pests haven't found it yet. Like you kind of throw them off and they don't know where it is yet. You get that like one amazing season of like very little pests, and then after that they like know where your garden is. They've written your address down, but
it's like people say
they shared it on Nextdoor.
Right? Like beginner's luck.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I'm so sick of the pests already.
We haven't had snow in 3 years, and the pests have been horrific. And so I'm really excited because we have these low temperatures in the snow. I'm like, please kill them off.
Get rid of them. I hope so. Destin, you're muted.
Destin lost
this. Yeah, somebody was asking in the chat. They're asking, with all this snow and ice, is it going to cut down pest pressure? And I don't know, Resh, you're New Jersey. You get plenty of snow. Does it cut down on pest pressure?
I'm sorry to say, no, it doesn't.
It does.
No, because the Northeast has way fewer pests. Like my parents' garden, like outside of like rabbits and deer, but like just like the bugs and stuff. Because when down here, I was just like, oh, it's like it's leveled up when I went down as far as what pests I deal with down here outside of squirrels. But that's my fault because I grow so many fig trees and the squirrels are like, look at this place.
Maybe in Houston, maybe in Houston, Austin, since there's a freak outlier freeze with snow, they would maybe deter some of ours, maybe. But like somewhere up north, I doubt it. If they're used to it, they're going to keep coming.
Yeah, no, if they're used to it, they will come back. So the snow is not going to reduce the pest pressure. However, what does happen, and I've been growing in fall, winter for so many years, is that because of the cold weather, the pest pressure during fall and winter is dramatically reduced.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so when I'm growing in fall, like I know my kale, my carrots, or my veggies, they not only taste so much sweeter, but because the frost converts the starches into sugar. So they actually taste amazingly sweet.
Tastes great.
But also, I don't have like any aphids. I don't have to do anything. So it's such an easy time to grow food. To be honest, I personally think fall, winter is the best time to grow food when it's colder, because the pest pressure is reduced because of the cold weather. Yeah. And also you don't need to water as often. So it's just
you're watering way less.
People sleep on fall and here in Texas is winter gardening. I mean, I was talking about it earlier. My dill has done so. My dill and my cilantro have done
loves cool
well.
Yeah.
We had the snow. We had the snow come in. It started to melt, and the dill bounced back. And then we got that really cold freeze right afterwards, and that's what I think knocked it back. But just like the down to like 27. It was fine, but we hit 19 this morning, and we had all that ice melt and then for refreeze. I think that is going to knock back the dill. Yeah. The carrots, I don't know. The carrots, I think I probably should have put a frost cloth over them. I did put a frost cloth over all my strawberries. Strawberries don't necessarily need a frost cloth, but some of them had fruit on them or berries, and if they get a real hard freeze, it'll drop the berries or fruit. So I went ahead and put a frost cloth over that. And I tell you what, if you have I keep all my scrap pieces of cattle panel, and oh my God, that makes the best low tunnel. I bent that.
I saw you do that on Insta.
Oh my God. Well, the ones that I just used the little low tunnels for, they were sagging so much. I had to go and knock the snow off. But the little scrap cattle panels didn't budge. It was like, and I didn't have to do anything. I just literally bent it to a little tunnel, put it on top, and I had all those pavers, and that was it. That was all she wrote. That was I was so happy I did that. I ordered 150 bare root strawberries this year, so I didn't want to lose them.
Yeah.
Listen, how cold did it get for you?
19. It was 19 this morning.
So if it was 19 this morning, your carrots are going to survive.
I hope so.
Because they grow under the ground. If you add some sort of mulch on top, so the ground doesn't freeze as much. And even if it freezes a little bit, basically because they grow underground, think of it as nature's refrigerator.
Right.
Believe me, and your carrots, when you harvest it, ping me when you eat them, because I'll bet you they're going to be the sweetest carrots you've ever
I-
tasted.
The
I
top will
will.
come back, but the carrots should be fine.
The top will come back.
Also-
Okay.
It'll
go ahead,
come back. Your tops will probably die back a little bit, but they'll sprout
grow
new
back.
ones, and the carrots should be
Oh,
fine.
good.
Yeah,
It
totally.
takes a long
Actually-
time for carrots to grow.
Yeah.
Snow can fall on them too, and it'll insulate them too.
Mhm.
Right.
Like,
Well,
you don't
the-
even
the-
know-
How big are your carrots?
that I started them
How
around
tall are
October. Some of them are about the biggest
The
one I
greens.
picked is about the greens 12 inches.
Oh, so then you should be good.
Yeah.
As long as they're not like baby seedlings, those might not survive. But if they're a little bit established, no problem.
I will say that I've given Jeremy from Dirty Punk Gardening a lot of credit for this, and I'll do it again. He gave me the best carrot planting tip ever was that broad forking little shovel thing. Oh my God. I will broad fork every bed I ever use from now on because I had the best luck with radishes this year. Radishes, people sleep on radishes. Radishes taste, they kind of smell funky, but they taste so good roasted. Oh my God. The watermelon
Raw?
radishes
I like
I
them
wasn't
raw.
a fan of. The French breakfast was good. And we're going to grow some black Spanish radishes. The watermelon ones, they look cool, but I didn't think they tasted that good. But I might have picked them
Listen,
too
you
big
gotta
too.
pickle. Have you pickled radishes?
I haven't,
Oh, I
but I
haven't
want to.
You've got to. I think I have the recipe in my book for pickled radishes.
You
But
mean Vegetable
have-
Gardening by Resh Gala? Vegetable Gardening Magazine by Resh Gala?
Yes, but you have got to pickle radishes. And you know, if you're making some sort of nachos or tacos for the Super Bowl, for example,
Yeah.
and you don't have pickled jalapenos, I want you to put some pickled radishes on top. They're so good.
It's page 152.
You got to try it.
So good.
If you
I will.
still have radishes that you've harvested.
That sounds so good.
Yes, and so this year the carrots have done so well. I did the broad fork, and then I pre-moistened the soil before I planted the seeds, and I didn't bury them super. I probably planted them too deep, but I definitely did not space them far enough because I was surprised how many came up. I thought they were It was an old packet of seeds, so I didn't think that many were going to come up. So I overseeded them like crazy. But they finally came up, and the carrots tasted so good. And I'm so excited to grow more root vegetables. I want to do rutabagas. I want to do a bunch of that in the spring. And actually, I'm excited to grow celery. I have tango celery coming up that I'm going to be able to transplant. I just did a whole another tray of celery because I'm so excited to try to grow celery this year. I've heard that celery grown at home tastes so much better than store-bought celery.
It
You
does.
know, I do a lot of juicing with celery as like my pre-workout almost. It just flushes everything out of your system. It's so good for you. So, and you know, so I drink a lot of celery.
I don't need
juice,
help
so-
with that, Raish.
No, listen, first thing in the morning on an empty stomach before you work out, have like an 8-ounce glass of raw celery juice. Let me know how that goes. Try it for a week, okay?
So how much celery does it take to juice to make like an 8-ounce glass?
It
Three
depends on what
stocks?
type of juicer. Yeah, it depends on what type of juicer you have. I have the Nama juicer, the cold press. And so I usually take a bag of celery, pop it into the juicer, and then if there's an extra batch, I would have it the next day. So that's what I usually use. But I would say, you know, maybe a head of celery should get you, like
Okay.
one head of celery should get you that.
I'm excited for this in the springs. We love doing zucchini breads, and I want to do zucchini. We love making zucchini bread. Oh my God, it's so
You can
good.
do sourdough zucchini bread, and it is
Ooh.
amazing and
Oh,
better
like
for
that.
There's
so
the pickle.
You can do
I
anything.
didn't know there was recipes in here, Raish. That's amazing.
Oh,
my
yeah.
God.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. I'm gonna do a bunch of stuff. I'm doing so many hot peppers. I did a TikTok live when I found out we can talk about that if y'all want. When I found out TikTok was gonna get banned about a week before, I started doing lives like, hey, it's gonna get banned. Make sure you go follow me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Go over there. But I planted some seeds, and I got a company called San Diego Seed Company sent me some seeds, and they send them to me naked. And what that means is they send them within the dried pepper husks. And
Wow.
they were 7-pot hot lava chilies. And I'm not a
Oh,
spicy
geez.
guy. I'm not a spicy guy. I was doing this on TikTok live. I wish I could have recorded it because I cracked the pepper open with gloves on, and just like the dust, the things floating in the air. I was crying. I was like, my voice was like, my throat was closing up, and like they're coming up, but like the seeds are germinating. Like I got like 12 of them coming up already, but I'm so scared of those peppers. That was the spiciest thing I touched. I had me
what variety is that? Is that the Bhut Jaloka?
I don't know. It was an experimental one they sent me. I don't know. I would say it's probably closer to a Bhut.
Did you have to sign a waiver or something to grow them?
I don't even know if they sell them. Like they're my friends, and they just sent me some naked seeds.
Because I have a coworker at my my other job that's like, he had to sign a waiver to grow his ghost peppers.
Oh, dude, man, it messed
for
me
good
up
reason. These things are gnarly, but like,
the ghost peppers in India they call them Bhut Jaloka, and the translation of that, Bhut is basically a ghost, and a Jaloka means hallucination. So basically, if you have this, it is so spicy that you start hallucinating. And I mean, not that you actually do, but
no, but I believe that. It's like I accidentally ate one with the it was crusted on top of some chicken wing, and I will full on believe that I was hallucinating because it was like dizzyingly hot.
Yeah. So it says 7-pot hot lava pepper. The hottest peppers are dried. It doesn't say like what variety is, but I mean, you can look at them. They look like the devil. I mean, that's how they came to me. They came to me dried like that.
They look like the devil, but they look like a forbidden chicken nugget for sure.
They were hot.
Looks like it has a nice crunch. I'm going to roll the dice. Let's do it.
It said over 1 million units of Scoville, which I'm sure is not the hottest, but I mean.
If it's a million of anything, it sounds pretty tough. Like,
okay, it's a Trinidad. It's a Trinidad scorpion.
Good grief!
So I grow this Trinidad scorpion pepper in my garden, not to eat it, but just to use that for pest control.
Yeah.
It's this spicy, that smell, and when you spray it on the leaves, the insects will stay away from your plant. Like. It actually works. You take that hot pepper, put it in some hot boiling water, and obviously you want to put a lid on it because otherwise, if your house smells of that, you can just imagine everybody's going to be crying, right?
Boil it on a camp stove outside.
Yeah, Destin's done trying to dehydrate hot peppers before.
Yes.
You just need like 3 of those hot peppers in some water as a solution. You can add in garlic if you want. And then, put it in a misting spray bottle and spray it on the leaves and foliage of your plants in the evening. That'll keep them off. And the smell, it's not the taste, because the taste is for us. I don't think the aphids and stuff can taste the hot pepper, but it's the smell that will really deter them.
Since we mentioned Froberg earlier and we're talking about hot peppers, I got to tell a story. So we always dehydrate our peppers, like the really hot ones, and we grind them up and we make Noack Farms pepper powder, like lava dust. Because my dad likes to put it on his popcorn. Her dad, puts it on everything. I can't do it. I'll use a little bit of it for my chili, but it's usually just a blend of whatever hot peppers we have at the time. I bought a big dehydrator and I put it in the kitchen, and I had it going one day, and Froberg was coming over here to shoot some content, and so he knocked on the door, and I was sitting on the couch. I said, "Come on in," and he took 2 steps into my house, and he goes, "Oh." He goes, "Dude, what is?" He goes, "Dude, it feels like I just got maced." And I look at him, like, I get up, and I'm like, "Really? Is it that bad?" He goes, "Dude, your eyes are bloodshot." And I'm like, "Really?" I didn't even realize it, but just the particles were just in the house, like flying around.
That's great, everybody.
This happened to me. This happened to me when I, Phil, you were saying gardening is like a learning experience, and I think all of you were saying that, right? And so this happened to me the first time I had these hot peppers, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to dry them in the dehydrator inside my house. And that was the worst thing ever. Like, tears running down my face. It was awful.
Oh.
My husband's like, I'm like, throw it out. Like, I don't care. Like, it's so bad. And the
It's
same
like
thing
every
happened
window.
and the same thing happened with garlic, unfortunately. The smell.
Oh no.
So now my dehydrator, when I'm dehydrating garlic to make like garlic powder and things like that, is going to be out in an open patio or something. Otherwise, and with chilies though, I just air dry them, you know. So
Yeah,
I did
that's
that
easier.
this fall, and it made my husband and son very upset. Well, and I knew it was going to happen because when I dehydrate garlic and onions and everything, it stinks at the house. But I was too lazy to like bring the dehydrator and find a spot for it in the garage like I could have done. So I'm like, I'm just going to throw all these in here. It'll be fine. And for 3 days, my house reeked of like all different kinds of peppers. And the boys were like, stop doing this. And then the next time I still had like half a batch to do. And so I chopped them up and set them in the dehydrator and left it open and let them air dry for like a couple days. Because I'm like, that's not going to smell as much. Turn that baby back on. And they were like, again. I was like, I'm a little lazy right now.
My husband pepper sprays the house with cooking. He does all the time.
I want to show something real quick. I was going to find the link for Rash's book, and Amazon is messing me up. If you go look for Rash's book, you're going to get like Amazon auto correcting you when you type in Resh Gala. It goes to Fresh Gala every time, like Gala Apple. I've been typing in Resh Gala, and it goes to Fresh Gala every time.
I swear to you, this happens all the time. When I came to the US and I went to college, a lot of people, when I'd say like my last name is Gala, they'd be like, Gala Apple? And I'm like, no, that's not me.
Like the only Apple we know.
Really?
You should just be like, yes,
it's
I'm
fresh
delicious.
Gala apples, basically.
Yes.
That's what it autocorrects to fresh Gala apples, the fresh Gala.
I'm so fresh, they named the apple after me. That's what you should have told them. Oh my God. Yes, I'm from the Gala Empire. We discovered the Gala Empire. We've been selling them for years. Oh my goodness. Well, guys, real quick, we'll do a little bit of final thoughts, you know, like let everybody know what zone you're in and what seeds you have growing right now. And then let everybody know what you got coming up, or you want to promote anything, shout anything out. We'll start out with Des. Des, what you got? You're starting tomatoes soon, right?
Yes, I am starting my tomatoes soon, but I haven't picked which ones that I will do. I do know I'm going to do a couple of beefsteaks this year and maybe one cherry tomato or grape tomato because I just don't need that much abundance. But I will also be throwing in some new ones that I have not tried before. And I'm going to work on really focusing on the difference between a determinate and an indeterminate tomato plant. So that's going to also decide what time I'm starting to plant those seeds out. I'm in zone 9A. I'm in Austin, South Austin, actually. It's a little warmer here most of the time. And other than that, I have been working on getting my office space set up here, and I've been doing a lot of research on different varieties of pollinators. I have a whole entire book going, and I just took an entomology course this last Friday. It's like a 2-hour course that I'm doing with my local extension office, and I am going to be doing one a month, and I have learned some really cool things that I cannot wait to share about insects in the garden. And I have a lot of stuff coming up with the volunteer work that I'm going to be doing. So busy season ahead. I'm going to try and be a little chill. And beyond that, stay tuned. If TikTok gets banned, I'm going to be on YouTube and Instagram even more. So get ready to be sick of me.
Absolutely. Make sure you follow Des on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I was going to say, as far as tomato recommend, yes.
And also my birthday is March 4th. Okay. And if I can get above 10K or at 10K on Instagram, it will make my year. Please help me out.
And Des is a master gardener. Smo is asking in the chat, are all of you master gardeners? Des is, I know, right? Sam, are y'all a master gardener?
I'm not.
I never took the course because when I went and had some conversations with the ones in my area, I was answering a lot of their questions, and so I was like,
Yeah, no, I don't have the free time
It
to do that.
depends.
Yeah.
Real quick, Des, you were asking me about some tomato recommendations, and I wanted to. This is one I'm definitely focusing on this year. These are the dwarf tomatoes. These are dwarf tomatoes.
Oh,
And these are, I put the link in the chat. So these are dwarf tomatoes. They grow like regular tomatoes. Or I'm sorry, they grow regular sized tomatoes, but the plants are much smaller. So you don't need a big trellis and stuff. I'm doing the
Love that.
I'm doing these, and they produce really big, like heirloom style tomatoes, but the plant is not crazy huge.
is it determinate?
I don't believe it is. I don't think it is.
Oh,
How is the production?
That's interesting.
Are they productive?
Yes, I got a couple out of mine, but I got the seeds very late in the spring. I've got mine started already.
I wonder if they probably have dwarf varieties that
episode.
some are determinate and some are indeterminate. But I would say like I bet you they're indeterminate and they just grow at a slower pace.
This did remind me.
Because terminate have a determinate height and a determinate crop that pops out, right? So
so this one doesn't say. I'm growing this one already. It does, doesn't it? And I'm also
sorry.
No, you're good. This is like a Cherokee purple one, the organic tomato rosella.
A dwarf Cherokee purple. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
You said what seeds I've got started. I did just start in my hydroponic garden some Thai basil seeds, like a bunch of them. So I'll separate those out later to get a head start. But I've got a ton of orange hat tomatoes on my hydroponic system in the house that are doing so super well. They've produced so many, and I need to pick a bunch of them. But before I do, I'll take a picture and I'll post it on Instagram, so that way you can see that you can grow a dwarf tomato plant on your hydroponic system in your house on the countertop ones, as long as you have like one of the little vibrating bee things to pollinate them,
or a little toothbrush or whatever. For sure. And you can and you can always grow that in our friend the smart pots. You can grow those tomatoes in smart pots. If it's because we were talking about earlier with not knowing exactly where you want to put stuff yet. If you're in a new house and you're new to gardening, smart pots are a great option because you can move them around.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. We are known for our offshoots. We typically never stay on the topic. Phil, what you got going on? What zone are you in, and what you got coming up, dude? What you got growing?
I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina, Zone 8B, and we've had a snowstorm, which no one's used to seeing because I don't think we've had a snowstorm like this since January of 2018, which is crazy. And I am just propagating figs, and I'm getting into propagating figs. I still have fig cuttings for sale on philsfigs.com, but I really am jumping into getting my tree started. And I want to help all you guys who have cuttings want to get your tree started, so I can have fig trees by May and I can have fruit by July and August. So I'm just propagating.
And I put a link for philsfigs.com in the comment section, so you can go buy cuttings from him. He'll have a ton of you'll be selling cuttings and rooted cuttings as well, right?
I will in May. I'll have rooted cuttings in May. That's and I wish April, but I don't think the timeline has it. And because business did go well this fall, so I lost a lot of my existing inventory, and I'm restocking, if you will. So it'll be a fun journey with that. And I get to do my own seed starting as well from all my gardens.
That's fantastic, dude. Well, I appreciate you being here every week, dude. Love you, buddy.
Always stoked. Love you.
Resh, let everybody know where they can find you, what you got coming up. Let everybody know what zone you're in, what you got growing already. I know you're holding up a little bit, but I know you're itching to start some seeds.
I am definitely itching to start some seeds. I'm in zone 7A, which previously I was in zone 6B. I think just last year the USDA changed some of the zones that we are in. So I went from 6B to zone 7A, even though I'm in the same area. And currently, because we have like tons of snow outside, and if you're growing in New Jersey or the Northeast, January isn't the best time to start your seeds. It's a little too early because most of us, our last frost date is around late April to middle of May. So it's a bit early for us to start a lot of seeds. However, if you do want to start seeds, and if you're in my zone or in the Northeast, then I suggest you can start onions indoors from seed. And of course, do rhizomes like ginger and turmeric as well. Yeah.
I forgot that we can do that on here.
When you
Sometimes
thumbs up, your bubble popped up.
Oh,
You got a
sometimes
thumbs up bubble.
it's
I didn't
only
notice
every
that.
once in a while.
These wonders.
Oh,
This
it's on a
always
phone.
happens.
It's phone based.
Oh, is it really? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh,
Because my
Okay.
daughter.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, interesting.
We always do this at the end of the podcast. Somebody's trying. Do it again, Races. Do it again.
Resh, yeah.
Did it? Did it work? Not this time?
No.
That's
how it is.
Boom.
Also, if you make the heart, it'll do it. But I'm on my computer now, so
Okay.
it won't
I'll be
do
the
it.
one making the
No,
heart.
like- yeah,
Is
make
it?
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it is.
There we go, showing love.
It's always been. For those who, so if you follow the Garden Party, you can follow us on Spotify and everything, so you can listen to us. So if you're listening to us right now, when you do a little sign, a hand sign on the screen, it shows the picture of like hearts and stuff. So yes,
Yeah.
but we actually have a video version of Spotify, and we were on the top 10% of all video podcasts on Spotify. So that was very exciting. Very exciting.
Congratulations.
Exciting. Yay.
Yes. Soon enough, I'll be able to. Soon enough, I'll be able to pay Phil and Des for a little bit of time they give me.
Oh my goodness. We
Sam-
love being here.
Oh, good.
Implant-
Go ahead, Resh.
implants.
Go ahead, Resh.
No,
Go ahead,
so
Resh.
yeah, so basically those are a couple of the things that you can grow if you're in my zone, like 7A or in the northeast of New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, etc. You know, and yeah, so it's the rhizomes, ginger, turmeric, onions is good. And apart from that, a couple of things that are coming up for me is, of course, my own garden installation this spring, which I'm like busy designing and creating right now and planning for that. And one of the things that I do, I have a company, it's called 100 Tomatoes. And no surprises because I love growing tomatoes. And I went from 0 to 100. So it's sort of a story for another day. But so I have a company where we design and install edible, organic, raised bed gardens for our clients in New Jersey, parts of Pennsylvania, New York City. So starting, I mean, literally January 1st hits and I start getting emails from people saying, hey, can we, schedule a consult with you? We'd love for you to design our garden and install our garden and things like that. So I have already done a bunch of consults. I have so many more coming up next week, even with the snow still outside. And hopefully, yeah, I have a lot more gardens that I'll be designing this year as well. So you can find me on Instagram.
Exciting.
Thank you. You can find me on Instagram at Resh Gala. Not the Gala apple, but that's Resh, RESHGALA. And my website is reshgala.com as well.
I put the Amazon link for your book, and I put a link to your website in the chat. So make sure you go pick up a book and support good gardeners, and really cool people that come on the podcast. Support people that come on the podcast, they'll keep coming on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. Thank you.
And I'll be giving this book away. I'll even put some text. I'll sign this one. How about that? I'll sign this one to give it away. And you send me a signed one.
Done deal. Done.
Perfect.
Text me your address, okay?
I will. Yes, thank you, Resh. Sam, let everybody know what zone you're in, what you got going on, and promote anything you want to promote.
All right. Yeah, I am in outside of Raleigh in North Carolina. So I am 8A. And next week I will probably be starting seeds, and I'm going to start. There's a lot of like herbs that take a really long time to really get going before you want to put them out. So I'm going to be starting some of those. I'm going to be starting all of my cool weather stuff, my brassicas, my onions, things like that. Over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'll probably be starting my ginger and my turmeric. And I will also be starting my peppers soon. Every year I sell tomatoes, pepper seedlings, and because I do like the cool varieties that you can't find a whole lot of places, and herbs. And so I like to make sure they have like a good start. So I'll be starting all of those probably next week, over the next few weeks. And I kind of do like a succession of it because I don't have a greenhouse. So I'm starting all this in my house and under my grow lights, and takes up all of my kitchen. My husband loves it. So. But you can find me mostly on Instagram at Growing Grace Garden. I do have a YouTube. I haven't really posted anything, but I'm hopefully going to start that this year. And I'm also on Facebook at Growing Grace Garden, but Instagram is really where you're going to find all of my informational videos and things like that. So.
Well, that's
Love it.
awesome. Yeah. Fantastic. No, I'm excited. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciated you coming off the goal this year. The goal this year was to, I love a lot of our returning guests, but I also wanted to bring like a returning guest and then a new face, and then we keep building that cast of characters, to bring them back. So, it's been so much fun having you on. Resh, thank you so much for coming back on. Phil, Des, it's been great having y'all every week, but I thank y'all so much. I'll be next Saturday. I got my first event of the year. I'll be at Enchanted Gardens doing a garden talk. It'll be awesome. And I'm actually going on TV next Thursday. I get to go on Houston Live, and I get to promote a home and garden show that I'm going to be doing some stuff at coming up in February. So I'll be doing a bunch of events. Poster with flyer with dates will be coming soon. If you're in Houston, San Antonio, Austin, or maybe even Wichita Falls, you all know what I'm talking about. Maybe there as well. So dates coming soon. And as always, we are live every Wednesday on Facebook and YouTube with the Garden Party. Thank y'all so much for being with us. And we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye, guys.